Welcome. Take a seat. Just for this moment, let all of your worries disappear. There was no chaotic intro today, because everyone needs a break sometime. Today we will create a color trigger bot that works for any game that has a color indication when you aim at an enemy. This can be that a crosshair turns red or a health bar shows up. How the trigger bot works is that we take a screenshot of a specific area, then scan through it for the color indicator. If it finds the indicator, we send a mouse click to shoot the enemy. If you have problems during the tutorial or questions, then don't hesitate to ask in the comments or join the Discord. And as always, if you don't feel like following the tutorial, you can join my Buy Me a Coffee page to get the source code instantly. Before we take a look at the showcase, remember to not use this application in a game that doesn't allow it, since you can get banned. Okay, so let's take a look at what you will have at the end of this tutorial. So this is the program, and let's go inside the game Borderlands 2. Stinging cactus, and when I aim at it, it shows the red color and you can see the health bar over it. Holding the color trigger bot down now. So it's red, it shoots. When it's not red, it doesn't shoot. And so on. There is another one. It even works when we scope. So scoping, holding the trigger bot key now. And it's shot. Time to create this color trigger bot. So, as usual, we will create a new project. This project will be a C# Windows Forms app, like the other tutorials, and we will call this color trigger bot, like that. We will use the .NET 6 framework, and we will create it. Now, I will not explain all of the things I do, because the video before this already did that in greater detail. So I'll just quickly go through everything here. We have a label. We will change the form name to color trigger bot. We will double click on the form and we will start to do some imports. So the first import will be from the user32 module, and we need some interrupt services. Here we go. First one will be a static extern short get async key state. It will have a key as parameter. We have a second import, which also is from user32, and it will be a static extern void mouse event. Uint dv flags int x int y uint dv data and an int pointer dv extra info. There we go. That's all of the imports. Now we need some constants, which would be uint unsigned integer left down, which equals to 02 in hex. We have a left up after that, because to create a mouse click we need left down and left up. Finally, we will define the hotkey, which is keys dot X button 2 in my case. There we go. Now let's create some methods. The first method we will use or create are the two methods that interact with our DLL imports. So void perform click x and y. Here we have a mouse event and it's left down x, y, then a 0 and then an int pointer dot 0 because they are necessary for our purpose. We sleep for 2 milliseconds, then we create a second mouse event, which will be left up x, y, 0 and int pointer dot 0. Now we have a mouse click. Let's create a boolean method for our hotkey. It will return the get async key states, and we will use our key and check if it's less than 0. If it's less than 0, it means they click and it returns true. Otherwise, it returns false and we haven't clicked our hotkey, or the hotkey isn't pressed down. So let's create the next method, which is bool, a boolean, and it's called our colors float. It will take in color 1 and a color 2, and then the max color difference. Here we have all of the RGB differences, which have a red difference, math absolute first, or the delta red here, and it's an absolute, so it's positive. We have the green diff, which is the delta green, reds, and the same for the blue. What happened there? Yeah, never mind. After that, we return true if all of these different colors are within the max color difference. We return true because the color is close. Otherwise, we return false. So that's the third method. Now we have our fourth method, which is also a boolean, and it's called color search. This color search has a wanted color, so this is the color that we want to find, and we need a rectangle on the screen to search inside of. So we will define it by having x and y coordinates for the different corners. So we have our x1 and y1, but then we have to have our x2 and y2, so we can extract a rectangle on the screen. Now, like the previous tutorials with using colors and so on, we will create a bitmap of the screen. So we will be using bitmap, and this is called, we'll call it screenshot, and it will equal to a new bitmap with the size of delta x and delta y. So x2 because it's greater, otherwise we would get a negative number, x2 minus x1, and then y2 minus y1, and we get the size. Then we will be using the graphics, and create a graphics object G, and we copy the graphics from the screenshot, or we use the graphics of the screenshot. Using this graphics object, we will copy from the screen and put it into our screenshot bitmap. So we will create, because we need an upper left source and upper left, never mind, we need our upper left point, which, because we have integers in the parameters, we will need to create a new point. Yeah. And use x1 and y1. Then we'll have a point dot 0 because it's not necessary, and then the screenshot dot size. And there are errors because it's supposed to be lowercase, like our variable, and here it's supposed to be empty, not 0. My bad. So we copy the graphics from the screen, that rectangle, and put it into our screenshot. After that, we can loop through our screenshot that we have made. So we will create a nested for loop. We will call the outer loop, or use the index of x here as a variable. It will start at 0, and while x is less than the screenshot, because that's what we're using, and dot width, we will increase it. So it increases by 1, and we can check for all of these pixels. But because it's a nested for loop, or because it's a two-dimensional picture, we will need to check the other axis as well. So we will have a for loop inside that, but with y instead. While y is less than the screenshot. No, not screen with big. That's annoying. Screenshot.height, because it's the y-axis. We will increase y, and inside of this loop, we will finally check the different pixels. But on our mind, we have our pixel or our colors close. We can proceed. We will catch the pixels color, so pixel color, and get it from the screenshots using our indexed variables. After that, we check with our colors close method the wanted color and pixels color. The max difference, or the max color difference, is for you to decide. Because we're only looking for a specific color, it shouldn't be that high. So take something like 30, 20, 40. You can test these different values out yourself and make them work for your game. And finally, if the colors are close enough, we will return true. But because this is a for loop, and if it doesn't find anything, we will need to return false outside the loop if it doesn't find anything. So we have our color search method, and we will return true if we find anything, false if we doesn't. The final method we will create before the main logic loop is a simple converter. So we will call it convert int to color. Int color, because usually with color, or with a color picker, you get in hexadecimal values. So we'll just create a method takes those hexadecimal values. And you can use the color picker that we created some days ago if you want. For this conversion, we will take the int color and use these sort of arrows and .0xff. Alright, so we have the first color, which is red, and we would have to shift the bits within the int color by 16 positions and use this operator. It's also, and it shouldn't be and, that's my bad. It should be a single and operator. It will shift the bits to the right 16 positions. And by using the 0ff, we will confirm or make sure that it isolates the rightmost bits. So we will get the red component, but we also need the green component, and we will shift it by only 8 bits now. And then sure. But the last color, which is the blue color, we don't have to shift it because it's only 8 bits left. So we will only use int color and 0ff. After that, we can return color from RGB. So we create a new color from all of these values. So we have converted our color. Now let's add the final touches, which is the final touches. It's the main method in the background logic. So it's maybe not the the last details, but it's not that big. We have a while loop that always runs, set to true, so it will always be true. And inside here we will check for our key pressed, hotkey. If our hotkey is pressed, we will check, or we will color scan, color search was the name, but we will also convert our color in, or convert into color. We do need a color now, so I will show how I got it in my game in just a second. Alright, so we're inside Borderlands 2, a really good game. I deeply recommend it. And if we walk outside and aim at some enemies, you can see that the crosshair turns red. So what I do now is hit Windows, Shift, and S. Make sure it's still red, and then I just take a screenshot. Now I can pause the game and in peace just find the colors. So let me open my application to extract the color. Here we have the color picker that I created a couple of days ago. I will hold the mouse down and I will just I'll take the red color here on the crosshair. I think it's the same as the health bar, but you can choose whatever you want. I know that the health bar is always located these amount of pixels above the crosshair, so I will use that in the search range. But I have the color here. I just copy that, and then we go back into the project and paste that color code. So now we have a color code. We have the color, but we need x1, y1, x2, and y2. So for these values, you could have a good range, but we want something like this. Let me get the... There we go. We want to search within this range for the red. And when we get a hit, we will send off a mouse click. So to do that, we need some coordinates. So I will use my AutoIt Windows or Window Info app, and I will just set the finder tool to somewhere like here. That's within the range. I will copy the position and paste it after the color. Paste the second position, which should be, let me check first. So it should be somewhere like here. We have the second value. I double clicked it to copy it. And we're done. So we have a rectangle now that's sort of in the range, and we will search for the color. If we do find the color, we will perform a mouse click. So let me just close that down. And we have the perform click like that. We don't want to set an X and a Y. And we will add a thread.sleep for maybe 10 milliseconds. What do I know? But as you can see, our method isn't running. That's because we need to add in the start. We will firstly add or change the text to represent our hotkey, which is the hotkey is, and then the hotkey dot toString plus another arrow like that, so we know what the hotkey is. But we will create a thread, new thread, which uses our BackgroundLogic, and it has a spelling error, and it will run in the background, equals to true, and we will start it at the form load. Now we're done. So let's test it by running it right there. So you only need to aim, pull the trigger bot key,